Good afternoon. This is Briefing with the Chief. I'm your host, Patrick Jordan, here on KJDB.com. That is KJ Radio. You can find us every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on KJO's Rumble channel, their Facebook page, and their Twitter feed. And now, as of 4 weeks ago, on KJRDB, their YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and type in KJRDB, and you can find my show there as well. And we're picking up a little bit of an audience there. I think it's easier to build an audience on YouTube than Rumble, but you can find us on either place. Now, you can also catch me at LEST Jordan on Twitter. I participate in a lot of the spaces on Twitters, and I, of course, post quite a bit of stuff on a wide variety of issues. I do normally focus on law enforcement, but you can also go to KJDB.com, Briefing with the Chief, and you can find all the audio versions of my show. Now, today we have a guest. Before we get to our guest, we're gonna do some lead segment, but our guest is Cece Woods, the intrepid Cece Woods. She's coming back. She has uncovered a lot of corruption in LA, and she's posted it on the Current Report. So you can go there and you can read the full articles. But we're going to go over some of those articles today and just get back, get the pulse of LA, what is going on in LA. And she actually is reporting what happened to some of that homeless money, that $24 billion. Well, just a little piece of it was stolen, and she'll tell us who stole it and who benefited. So just hang in there before we get to Cece. But I wanted to talk about a couple of issues that have come up over the last week or so. And the first one is Richard L.A. Now, let's roll with the video.
And more breaking news right now. A federal investigation underway after an undocumented immigrant was shot by federal agents during what's been described as a tense immigration operation.
And Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda is live in South Los Angeles, where the scene remains active. Carlos.
That's right. The investigation is still going on at this moment here. You can see behind me the police tape. Also, some of the streets here are blocked off. But this is a very busy street right here. This is Trinity. And this is where a lot of cars are coming by. And sometimes they'll just stop and look and see what's going on. Now, all of this happened early this morning around 8:52 a.m. That's when the call first went out for help. The shooting happened on the 400 block of East 20th Street in Los Angeles. Federal officials say this was a targeted enforcement traffic stop of someone who had previously escaped from custody. Witnesses tell me the person involved is a TikToker who regularly follows ICE. This is a recent live stream of that TikToker who is known as Richard L.A. This man, who also takes video, told us what happened.
Él estaba ahí en su carro. Parece ser que él, pues obviamente con el miedo, con el nerviosismo de ese momento.
He told me the man was in the car and it looked like he was nervous and afraid at that moment, and he didn't want to get out of the car. He says agents then fired rubber bullets and tear gas because there was also a lot of smoke in the area. A U.S. Marshal was also hit while conducting this operation. DHS says in a statement the suspect began ramming the law enforcement vehicle in an attempt to flee. Fearing for the safety of the public and law enforcement, our officers followed their training and fired defensive shots. The illegal alien was shot in the elbow, and one law enforcement officer was shot in the hand by a ricochet bullet. And there's no word at this moment of the conditions of either the suspect or of the federal agent.
Now, in subsequent reporting, they call this guy a citizen journalist. So the media is softening who this guy was, but he's a guy who previously escaped. So the reason why they have U.S. Marshals going after him is that's the guys that go after the people who escape, is the U.S. Marshals. So this isn't even ICE. This is the U.S. Marshals. They did a typical takedown where they boxed him in with cars. This is a strategy used by the LAPD, the LA County Sheriff's Department, when they're taking fugitive suspects down. And they used the exact same strategy. In this case, the suspect decided to try and use his car to ram his way out of being captured, which is that he's using deadly force. He's using his car. And there's been a lot of criticism coming down. And fortunately, Bill Asaley, he posted something on Twitter supporting the U.S. Marshals. And this guy's now under arrest for assault on the U.S. Marshal. So, I would go to check out Bill Asaley's U.S. attorney in L.A. to get the scoop. But this is not unusual. We saw two situations in Chicago where activists were ramming ICE agents' cars. We saw a previous one in L.A., and now we saw this guy. Plus, he had previously escaped custody. So this is the violence that is happening, and it's been justified by our political leaders. In fact, our political leaders gave Richard of L.A. an award. They gave him a city scroll for all the work he's done in presenting the story of ICE, their version of the story. he actually is standing up for the councilman with a picture of the stroll. That's how far our politicians have gone. You know, these guys take an oath to uphold the Constitution, but in this case, in LA and in LA County, LA City and LA County, they're doing everything they can right on that line to obstruct ICE. And the violent language and the violent rhetoric is only encouraging people like Richard of LA to act violently towards our U.S. Marshals. Now he's in custody, and I'm sure he'll probably get sentenced before he then gets deported. So Richard of LA will ultimately be TikToking from Mexico. Now, so this is an important story to talk about, just because this is ongoing and it's happening across the country. But you know, I wanted to roll with let's roll with the next video because it's kind of related. See, go ahead, Amanda.
Mayor Bass, I'm grateful for your support and your leadership. Mayor Bass and I talked just last week, and she is committed to ensuring that every single moment of terror, of injustice that happens here in Los Angeles and really across the country is recorded, and that we take note of every instance where people are being harmed. And so today I want to announce that the House Oversight Committee Democrats are going to record and create an investigative unit here to ensure that in Los Angeles, we look into every single brutal misconduct that ICE is committing. Oh. Yeah. And it's not just going to be in the House. I'm also excited to announce that the Senate and Senator Blumenthal has agreed that the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations will join the Oversight Democrats to ensure that this is being done in conjunction with both the House and the Senate. So what does this mean? Beginning today, we are demanding that all records and documents, particularly when citizens have also been detained, and how officers are treating citizens and those being detained, are available to our committee. We want to understand what they're doing in our neighborhoods, how it is being funded. And our committee is looking at tracking and investigating DHS, Kristi Noem, and all the misconduct, brutality, and also these new arrests that are happening of U.S. citizens. Over 170 citizens are being arrested. Why? Because they look like me. Because they are of Latino origin, or because they are suspected to not be a U.S. citizen, but because they're suspected of crimes that they have not committed. We know that right now in these detention facilities, a majority of the people that are being detained have not committed a crime. Yeah. Now, we're looking forward to partnering with the City of Los Angeles and the entire LA delegation, including the City Council, to ensure that we are investigating also these wrongful deaths that are happening in ICE custody.
Okay, that's Roberto Garcia. He's a House member. He's in the U.S. House of Representatives. Now, here let's talk about what's going on here. So I've been paying attention to what's going on not only in L.A. but what's going on in Portland, what's going on in Chicago, and you have the Chicago Police Department, you have the Portland Police Department, and now here in L.A. you have people tracking the behaviors of ICE. What do you think is going to happen next? They then gather this information and they give it to their nonprofits that are funded through very wealthy billionaires. It's starting to come out who's funding what. And this includes the Lawyers Guild and others. And they'll file lawsuits on behalf of all these people. And this is all designed to slow ICE down. Keep in mind, Obama used these very same laws to deport people. Suddenly, they're racist. Suddenly, they're bad under this president. But they weren't bad under Obama. They weren't bad under Biden. They weren't bad under Clinton. So what's changed? Only the letter after Trump's name and the political ambitions of the Democrats, which is to flood our cities and our blue states with people to help in the census. That is what is going on here. That is why they're doing this. It is to slow the ability of ICE to do their job. It is just one more obstructionist move on their part. So they're going to create a tracker here in LA, but they're doing the same, like I said, they're doing the same thing in Chicago, they're doing the same thing in Portland. There's no doubt in my mind they're doing it in other areas of the country. And this is all simply to obstruct ICE. And keep in mind that the vast majority of these folks could have been just turned over from local authorities, from jails and prisons to ICE, but we're letting them loose into the community, and then ICE has to take them down in the community, which creates these confrontations, creates the necessary for the necessity for the use of force. All of this, most of it, at least 50% of it, as he said, 50% of the people don't have a criminal record. That means 50% do. And if they were in the custody of local police officers, we could just hand them over to ICE if we didn't have these sanctuary cities and sanctuary county policies here in LA, in Cook County, Illinois, where Chicago is, or up in Portland. So shame on Robert Garcia. He's being dishonest there. He's not giving you all the facts, but that's what we can expect from the Democrats these days. And keep in mind, all of the laws that Trump is enforcing were enforced or used under Obama, were used under Clinton, were used under Biden. Not that much under Biden, but they were still used under Biden. And the only thing that has changed is the R after Trump name and the political ambitions of the Democrats to flood their zones, flood their states with people for the upcoming 2030 census. Okay, hey, that's my lead segment for today. Let's have our prayers for our federal law enforcement officers, the U.S. Marshals, the FBI now, because they're on the right path now, and our ICE officials. Keep doing a good job. You do have supporters out in their community, including myself. And let's go to our guest for today, because we have so much to cover with Cece Woods and the current report. Hey, Cece, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. You've been really busy. You've been really busy.
You're cranking out the articles. Yes, I have. I've been really busy. I have had quite a few people go, how are you even pumping all of these things out? And I'm like,
yeah, well, all right, let's get into it. When you throw out a few articles out there, that creates leads, right? Other people call you and give you leads. That's
100%. As a matter of fact, the most recent article on Shangri-La Industries, when I put that article out, that led to somebody within the bank who was a part of the funding of $100 million loan, gave me so much inside information about how when Shangri-La came to them, they had lawsuit after lawsuit after, just pages worth of lawsuits and tax liens where ordinarily no bank would even consider giving them this loan. And somebody in the higher up said, well, they have government contracts, so just give them the loan. And they even dropped Clinton's name and said, oh, by the way, Bill Clinton actually sat on the board, as if that shouldn't have been a bigger red flag, but it wasn't. Okay. And they funded it.
So you can, all right, you can find Cece at the Current Report. We got to do a plug for your show, and or your paper. But also, I didn't think I put anything on your podcast. So the Current Report. But they find your podcast at the Current Report as well? They pull up that.
Yeah, they can find my YouTube and the podcast links all on thecurrentreport.com.
Okay, what's the podcast name?
Podcast is Now Newsbeat LA.
Now Newsbeat LA. Check it out.
LA. It's now called Newsbeat LA.
Okay. All right. Newsbeat LA. So go to the Current Report, and if you got to hear a verbal report, go to the Newsbeat LA with Cece Woods and get up to speed. All right, we're gonna go in order here. We're gonna do Cecil, Rambo, and the airport police first. We'll get to Shangri-La. I have to tell you, I love the name Shangri-La as a scandal. You're thinking mountain scenery, but it's Shangri-La, right? But Cecil Rambo. I worked with Cecil. I knew Cecil, and you did. You know what? I think I got a video I got to do before we do that one. Do we have one? Let's roll with the video before we do the Cecil story.
1,000 days from now, Los Angeles will host the world for the Summer Olympic Games. The city is promising a celebration of sport, culture, and innovation. And it's all going to air right here on NBC4. NBC4's Conan Nolan live in our newsroom now with an update from Mayor Bass on how the city is preparing, and also a warning from President Trump. Conan.
That's right. So the president said this on September 25th. He said it twice this past week, implying that he has ultimate authority as to where the Summer Olympic Games will eventually take place. If things aren't right in Los Angeles, he says he will move it to another city. The response from the International Olympic Committee and the mayor of Los Angeles has been pretty much to ignore him. Mayor Karen Bass today on Venice Beach, where the first medals will be awarded in what she calls the Games for All.
It is an opportunity to reimagine our infrastructure, strengthen community resilience, and expand opportunity for all Angelenos. This is why it is called the Games for All neighborhoods, all Angelenos, everyone around the world.
But as the mayor was signing an executive order streamlining the planning for the games, there was this dust-up recently from the White House.
If I thought L.A. was not going to be prepared properly, I would move it to another location.
While the president has no legal authority to simply move what is an international event, the Olympic governing body was diplomatic in its response. The International Olympic Committee stating that the games have the full support of the President of the United States, the Governor of California, and the Mayor of Los Angeles. There are 3 years to go, and we are confident that LA 28 will be a great Olympic Games. The mayor today equally circumspect with NBC4's Brittany Hope.
Well, the 1,000 days out, and the city is prepared and will continue to be prepared. We have the World Cup in less than a year. Today is laying out our plan, our strategy. Los Angeles will be ready.
Yeah, but not so much, right? So 1,000 days out, she says they're going to be ready. But according to your reporting, and this is what caught my eye regarding Cecil's Chief Rambo over at the airport police, is the allegation that they're not ready and they're not going to be ready.
Oh my God, no, they are not ready. And the union is who reached out. Well, I saw the union posting all these crazy posts about Rambo, and I'm going, what's going on here? Like, I need the popcorn. This is good. How am I? Like, I want to report on this. So the union contacted me and gave me all the info that I needed to have. And I beat the LA Times out on that story because they were right behind me. I think they were watching me post about it.
Yeah,
actually.
So your headline is Turbulence LAX. So Cecil Rambo is a former assistant sheriff on the LA County Sheriff's Department. He went and worked for a local city as a city manager, and then he got hired by the airport police as their chief, I think as a launching pad to run for sheriff. Then he got shot down by another candidate when he was trying to get the endorsement of the Democrats, and then he's just stayed there. But the part that caught my, I don't believe that the leadership here in LA, and I don't necessarily name that as Cecil Rambo, but I'm talking the mayor and the city council. I don't think they're up to the task of hosting the Olympics. I don't think they understand the security that it takes. And when I read your article, I became very concerned because it takes 2 years to get ready for something like that.
Very, very, very concerning. And President Trump has actually been saying, I think we need to take the Olympics away from LA. Yeah, can you hurry that up, please? That does not need to be here. It does not. It'll be utter chaos, total and utter chaos. So the union contacts me and gives me all the information I could possibly ever want to know about they're saying like he's got cognitive issues, he's cuckoo, really? Like legit cuckoo, legit. And it's astounding. It's astounding.
They said now you said in your article, they said he has behavioral and cognitive decline. Now he's a couple years older than me, so he's in his mid 60s.
Yeah, but
could happen to anybody, right? But
right.
All right, so let's okay. Now you compared him, or they compared him. Let me correct that. Yeah. They compared him to Katie Porter, which is shocking to me.
Cuckoo, I'm telling you.
She's absolutely nuts. And I have worked for Cecil Rambo. I've worked with him. I've worked for him. I've never heard him swear and like she does. I've never heard him lose it. He's always was very well contained. Now he was always politically connected. He had a different pathway in the sheriff's department than I did, but he was at least respectful of me, and I saw of others. But this is concerning to me because here's the deal. LAX is one of the busiest airports in the country. People will be coming into LA for the Olympics, for the World Cups, and that venue and where the athletes compete will be the most likely targets by terrorists. And that's a problem. And I think I got a video. Let's throw this terrorist video. And I just want to emphasize why it's important.
Fox News alert: the FBI arresting an alleged October 7th attacker living in Louisiana. Federal prosecutors say the 33-year-old man took part in the Hamas attack on Israel, then traveled to the U.S. on a fraudulent visa. Senior correspondent Jonathan Seri has more on what we're learning. Jonathan.
Yeah, Sandra, he was living here in the U.S. legally, at least on paper. Investigators say he lied on his visa application by failing to disclose his alleged connections to paramilitary groups. He was living in Lafayette, Louisiana. His name is Mahmoud al-Matadi, and according to the criminal complaint filed in U.S. District Court, evidence shows that on the morning of October 7, 2023, al-Matadi learned about the Hamas invasion, armed himself, gathered others, and crossed into Israel with the intention of assisting with Hamas's terrorist attack. That coordinated assault involved rape, torture, kidnapping, and the deaths of 1,200 people. Investigators say al-Matadi's phone used a cell tower located near Kibbutz Kfar Aza, the location of one of the worst massacres in that attack on Israel. The court filing also includes social media photos that investigators say shows al-Matadi wearing the red headband of the National Resistance Brigades, or NRB, a Gaza-based paramilitary group. It also includes a transcript of a phone call in which al-Matadi allegedly tells another man, quote, "If things go the way they should, Syria will take part, Lebanon will take part, and it's going to be a third world war." Sandra, al-Matadi is currently being held in Louisiana at the St. Martin Parish Correctional Center as this case unfolds. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jonathan. John.
That just punctuates why it's important that the Biden administration let this guy in. How many more people like him are in our country? I mean, this guy participated in October 7th, and he was in our country until recently. Well, he's still in our country. He's just in custody. But that's why we have to have a game plan that has, because I was in a similar position, as the chief of the LA Metro, and you have to have your whole team rowing in the right direction if you want to be successful. And I don't hear it. I mean, I'm just going to use some of the things that he has a toxic management style, increasingly hostility towards his command staff, and a deepening resentment among the rank and file. This is what is going on with him. Did they give you any specific examples that aren't included in the article?
What do you mean about the?
Just things that he might have said that display the toxic, or are you just you're just quoting what they said?
I'm quoting what they said. Yeah, I mean, he definitely he said it's a toxic work environment. He's cuckoo. I mean, it just everything about the situation is just mind-boggling. And that's on top of not having enough personnel.
Yes.
Having equipment that is just falling apart and being held together by duct tape. And that's the same thing at LASD. It's like, how do you expect to have this, how do you to host the world when?
Oh, we lost you, Cece. Yeah, we lost you, Cece. So let's see here. Let's get you. So we lost you, Cece. Let's try this again. Come out and come back on. Well, let me emphasize why this is important. Or what I think is going on here. So there's 3 policing agencies in the city of Los Angeles. There's the LAPD. They're the big dogs, right? And if there's going to be any flow of money, it's going to go to the LAPD. Then there's LAX, and then there's the Port Police. Those are basically the 3 agencies in the city. And when I was doing anti-terrorism stuff with LA City and LAX and the Port Police, because I did do it with all of them, there was always this drain on both the port and the airport police towards LAPD. So I'm curious if that's going on, because that reflects, in her article, that reflects I'm there. That reflects the fiscal priorities for public safety. That reflects on Mayor Bass. And that's where the chief has to advocate for more equipment and so that we can get ready.
Apparently he has not. So
yeah, and that's a fair criticism. That's a fair criticism. Are you just sitting in the seat waiting for it to happen, or because what, he needs to advocate for his troops. When I worked with the airport police, they had some pretty guys that pushed and made sure that the airport police were whole, even as LAPD encroached on their on their domain, which happened. Now let's get into the next story you got to talk about, and that's Shangri-La. So this is a corruption scandal involving homeless money. So we want to lay it out for the audience what is going on with Shangri-La, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, and we'll get into the connection with the politicians.
Well, from what I understand, I haven't even really done any reporting on this homeless industrial complex. So
Right.
there's been, hundreds of millions of dollars that has been poured supposedly into building these homeless, properties, et cetera, et cetera. Shangri-La is one of the developers. And when Bill Asaley came on and said, I'm going to look for this homeless money, they came up with Shangri-La and said, okay. So the CFO, Cody Holmes, young kid, it looks like he was set up in this whole thing. And I'm just blown away how. So
your article says that your article says that they were supposed to. Here you go. The Shangri-La scandal: how homeless crisis fueled political payoffs in the pipeline. But it says that they were supposed to use this money for Operation Home Key. So it was actually $24 billion that the state spent on this stuff, and that they used Operation Room Key was supposed to rehab a bunch of motels that weren't in use for homeless housing, right? And so he got 24 or 25 million, plus he got loan guarantees from the bank, as you talked about earlier. And then they siphoned all that up for personal gain. I saw one report that he had a Ferrari, he had a house in Beverly Hills, they personal private flights. There's I happen to know some people who are developers, and generally they're looking for a 20% return on investment, right? So if it's going to cost $100 million, they're looking to make 20 million. But in this case, they just stole the money, and they didn't finish most of the projects. I think in Shangri-La they had 7 projects, they finished 2, and they absconded with the rest, or as much as they could get away with. But the most interesting, because other people have reported on this, so other news outlets have reported on this, but there's something else that you reported that they didn't report, and that's the loop back to the politicians.
Oh yes. So it's there's a group of us that once a name goes down in flames, we start searching the donation database, right? That led back to Cody Holmes and 2 of the executives at Shangri-La. And what did they do? They just started, you could see over each election period how they were funneling money into the supervisors, into Robert Luna, into the people they knew they needed in the bag to get these contracts through. And it was very evident what they were doing. And the people who had the board of supervisors is the one who had to vote on some of these projects. So that's why they did it. So the only person that didn't get a donation was former Sheriff Alex Villanueva. When he was running for re-election, no, there was no donations to him, because he's the one who calls out the corruption. He's been calling out the board of supervisors forever, right? So that was really enlightening, but just being able to tie Shangri-La to these people is it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, I saw your documentation. So some of these people got multiple donations of $1,500 each per election cycle. So here's how it works: if you're running in a primary, you can give $1,500, right? Then if you get in the general, you can give another $1,500. But then the next year you can actually give to an office holder account. So there's regular donations to multiple politicians, including Sheriff Luna, both when he ran the first time, and I think recently he got another donation from the same people, right? Even as these guys clearly are under investigation, because in your story it points out that even the state attorney general went after these same companies civilly, right, for malfeasance.
Absolutely.
And they're still giving out donations, and people are accepting donations. And the thing about it is they're not giving these donations back. But so So the very same people who are making decisions on who gets this money from the government, from local government, are the ones that are turning around and sending money back to the politicians in the form of donations. And we don't know if there's anything else. This is just what the public reporting requires, and you can show the linkage. There clearly could be other things, right?
I mean, I hope to uncover quite a bit more. I can't imagine. And so, like I said, with my article, I got a phone call from somebody who was involved in the loan process for that $100 million loan, which when that loan funded, almost immediately, they spent it all on themselves. Like the CEO bought a $5 million house, the other guy's buying this, the other guy's buying that. And that bank lost that money. They lost $100 million. And so I'm waiting for more to fall out, I'm
That's
waiting.
got to have more tentacles, and so we'll probably have to wait for Bill Asaley as he does his investigation.
Yeah,
And,
I imagine more executives will go down. I do.
yeah, and so let me clarify to the audience. So Bill Asaley is the acting U.S. attorney here in Los Angeles, and so he has been very aggressively going after this. I'm aware of another case that's going on. We'll see what happens with that case. But he is aggressively going. He's also looking at these various nonprofits, leftist nonprofits, who are funding a lot of the protests, and a lot of this stuff is interrelated. These same nonprofits who allegedly are helping the homeless are doing all these other kinds of things.
I have another article that's out on the current report right now about a record $25 million settlement that was given to the Cervantes family. And it's Holly Mitchell's best friend's husband, who is the attorney on the case. And she had to vote on giving him that money.
We're gonna get into that one, but we have to. Okay, we got to talk about the veterans' connection to the Shangri-La, right? So you focused on, like, there's other reporting that focuses on a place. They focused on a place out here in Thousand Oaks. That's actually where we both live, right? That they failed to. That Shangri-La failed to meet its contractual obligation. I don't know if that's you or me that's making that noise.
Me. Sorry, that was by accident. Okay.
So it was. So they failed to meet their obligations in that property. But there's another one, and this is the one that is part of the federal building property. So there's a big chunk of very valuable land on the west side of Los Angeles. That was gifted to the VA, to the Veterans Administration, that local politicians have been wanting to get their hands on forever. And they've used the homeless thing as a way to get their hands on some of it by claiming they're going to build a homeless shelter on the VA property for veterans, which, we already do some of that on that property. But these guys are supposed to rehab buildings, and that's one of the properties that the Shangri-La folks failed to follow through on. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. And that's where the biggest issue is trying to decipher, because there were a lot of these projects that were half done, and the contractors, they actually, they filed lawsuits. So the projects kind of got started, but they just didn't necessarily get finished. And so some of them were veterans projects. I don't know the specifics on that yet. My focus was really the politicians that are linked to this. That's public corruption. That's my wheelhouse. So I'm going to look into that more. We're going to have to reconvene on that.
Yeah. Okay. So here it is. All this money was given to these guys. Here's what she's talking about is, so this guy's a contractor, right? And he hires subcontractors. So let's say he's going to hire a guy that's going to do drywall, right? Or a guy, an electrician, or a plumber that's going to do some of that stuff. And so they come in and maybe they do some demo and they start doing some rehabbing, and then the checks stop flowing to the subcontractors.
Yes.
And they keep working, and these folks at Shangri-La says, oh no, it's just delayed, whatever they're saying to these guys. Yep. And so these guys continue, but eventually, most of it is labor intensive, right? If you're doing construction, probably 2/3 of it is labor costs.
Absolutely.
And if you're not paying the guys, they got to stop working because they got to go to jobs where they're actually paying. And so that's where these subcontractors filed lawsuits against Shangri-La. And once you get to court, it just delays everything. And I believe that was the trigger that got, I think, Bill O'Saley and everybody else looking at it, and certainly Robert Bonta looking at it. I don't know why he looked at it just civilly. He should have looked at it criminally. Probably because they're connected to some of his friends, I guess. I don't know, but
of course, that there's more. And again, like I said, I have other articles that are coming out that have that information.
So, okay, so campaign pledge. So the public records reveal that Shangri-La executives strategically donated thousands of dollars to the LA County Board of Supervisors because they had the big vote on the West Side project, right, which was probably their most ambitious project. And the candidates, in tandem with key project approval records from County's Tracer, that's the one that shows who gives what in terms of donations, database, shows donations to Supervisor Hahn, Ridley Thomas, Sheila Kuehl, Hilda Solis, and Catherine Barger, all of whom voted on housing bonds and projects funding measures benefiting Shangri-La. Now, here's the thing that is, it isn't just that these guys voted on these guys. They also put people in place for the homeless fund, right? There's HHH funds, the homeless LA. I forget the name of it. They also put people in place to run the county. So the CEO is their person. She just got a sweetheart deal from the Board of Supervisors too. That looks like there's some corruption going on. So they're putting the people in place that are vetting the contractors. Are you following me? They're putting the people in place who are vetting the contractors, making record, because this usually you have to have multiple bids.
Right.
But their people are vetting the contractors, and then they propose them to the board, and the board votes for them. And now they just gave, I think, a $2 million payout to the CEO of LA County, who's
they did that, and apparently because there is a now new legislation that was put into place to where now they're going to put the CEO's position on the ballot to vote for.
Yes.
So, okay. So apparently that caused her quite a bit of emotional distress. And so they wrote her a check, just like they did to Sachi Hamai, when Sachi Hamai said, Alex is bullying me, the former sheriff Alex Villanueva, he's bullying me. She got a $1.5 million check in 10 days. 10 days.
I just want to know, what else is that for? I mean, that's the part that makes it suspicious.
Yeah. That's hush money.
What for the latest one? What is it for? Is there an NDA agreement? Why are we paying?
Don't sue us. There's all that. There's who knows what other kind of dirty deeds are behind that. Don't forget, there's the whole the lawsuits, about these fake people who the lawsuits were paid out and the claims were fake.
Yeah.
So
and we're going to get to that. The one other thing that I think I need to talk to you on the Shangri-La thing is, and you make the linkage. I wasn't sure what I thought of Alex Villanueva when he did his public integrity unit. I wasn't in that lane. It was okay. I looked at some of the stuff that he did. It absolutely legitimate, and I think maybe some ways he sold it was probably not a good idea. But I think they did some really good investigations. I actually watched two of the people on that team testify in front of the Sheriff's Oversight Committee, and they're just straight investigators, and the Oversight Committee wasn't interested in trying to get to the truth. They just wanted to attack their reputation. I thought it was despicable what the Sheriff's Oversight Committee, whose leader at the time was Brian Williams, who then got hired by Mayor Bass, who then called in a bomb threat on City Hall, and now just took a plea deal. Yeah, it just and I
gotta tell you, I really honestly think that taking a plea deal was better than what could have happened along the ways, because he was involved in meetings where there was clearly some really hardcore shenanigans going on, and I truly believe that he thought that was probably the fastest way for him to get out of this, and just easier than possibly going down in flames with everybody else and what they're planning.
Oh, well, it'll be interesting. Is he a witness then? It seems like he got a sweetheart deal. As was 18 months probation, I think is what it was. No prison
Yeah.
time.
Well, a bomb threat if they get off of not having to be involved with all the other stuff that's going on, because it's bad. It's bad stuff.
All right, let's now we got to link this. I just brought up Villanueva and his public integrity unit. So you're saying in your article that Robert Luna got several donations from the Shangri-La Group, and when he took office, he got rid of the public integrity unit
Immediately.
I think, personally, I think that was a payoff to the politicians that helped support him. I don't know if that had anything to do with Shangri-La, but he certainly they hated it. Sheila Kuehl hated it. I think all the other politicians hated it, and they didn't feel like they could control Alex, which is really what that was about. They didn't feel, because you know what, I wouldn't care if I'm on the board of supervisors if Alex was doing public integrity, because I wouldn't be doing anything inappropriate. I wouldn't care.
Right.
Hey, look all you want. I don't care.
I look at it like ain't nothing to see here. Like, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, but obviously they were worried, and I do think there was some legs to the Sheila Kuehl investigation, which you mentioned in your article, and then I think she got away with some stuff here. But we have the last one is power and payoffs. Let's throw that headline up there. We got it. Do we have that headline? There we go.
Yes.
Power payoffs and disappearing watchdogs, how political alliances erode LA County's fight against corruption. Okay, let's take that. Okay, so I read this article, and to me, this is part of the same scam that's going on all across the country. This is in every one of these blue cities, whether it's Cook County, Illinois, Philadelphia, New York, that people who are connected to the politicians file lawsuits, some legitimate, some not. In this case, there was somebody who was shot during a confrontation. But the question is, but that politically connected person was connected to a board of supervisors member who then made the vote to support a very large payout that was significantly higher than probably what was appropriate given the circumstances. But just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the biggest part about this is this settlement was $25 million, which is, and the kid did not die, by the way.
Yeah.
So a $25 million settlement for somebody that's not dead, okay, for an officer or a deputy that was doing his job by the book, okay, and a historic payout that is not even, it's like 3 times the national standard. And the conflict of interest, it's just got so many tentacles, because at that time, Patty Giggins and Sheila Kuehl were under criminal investigation. There was already search warrants that were going out. And when those search warrants went out, Austin Dove, the attorney, was, he said, I'm going to announce myself as the attorney for Patty Giggins. Well, so he's inserting himself into this whole thing. So here he is defending Patty Giggins, and then his wife is a congresswoman, Sidney Kamlager-Dove, is best friends with Holly Mitchell, the supervisor. And so now when this Cervantes thing comes up, the lawsuit, he all of a sudden is now Cervantes's attorney. So, and that case had to be voted on. And then you see from the Patty Giggins, Sheila Kuehl, that Sidney Kamlager-Dove is making donations to Mia Bonta, who's running for, I think, an assembly seat, and she is Rob Bonta's wife. She got $9,800, like 43 days before. The 43 days before was a donation for $9,800 to Holly Mitchell, and 43 days later was the lawsuit that was settled for record, $25 million. And then all of a sudden Rob Bonta's taking over the case now, and Kamlager-Dove is donating to Mia Bonta's it's just insane. It's insane.
So Cervantes was shot in a confrontation with deputy sheriffs and wounded.
Yeah.
And his case was picked up by a politically connected attorney, Andre Dove? And
No,
his wife,
Austin Dove.
Austin Dove, and his wife is an elected official.
Yes.
And she's friends with Holly Mitchell, who's also an elected official, but on the Board of Supervisors. So the Board of Supervisors makes decisions on payouts, settlement payouts.
Yes.
I've been part of this process, so let me lay it out for the audience. So here we have two politically connected people, and one of them's husband is representing a plaintiff against the County of Los Angeles. And because remember, this is what happens. So when they say we're going to give $25 million to Cervantes, generally about 50% of that goes to the attorney, depending on what part of the process is. But in this case, they're a little deeper in the process. So if you have to go to court, it could be even more. But he's at least getting probably 40% of that payout. 40% is going to the husband of a politically connected woman who's also connected to the person who makes the decision. In addition to that, that attorney makes a donation of over $9,000 to the very official, one of the officials, there's 5, that are going to vote on this case. To me, that's a conflict of interest. Holly Mitchell should have not voted on that case. And this is the part of the corruption that is going on around the country. You see people getting released by these from jail and prison by these Soros-funded DAs, suggesting that there was malfeasance on the part of the police and the cops. They then sue, and these folks then make a decision, and the politicians make a decision. They give a lot of money out, and the people who are enriched the most are the attorneys who are representing them. It is the attorneys. This isn't about Cervantes. They don't care about Cervantes. He's just another name. He's just an opportunity for them to make millions. And that's the key thing that's part of this story. If these politicians know the attorney and are friends with the attorney, they need to recuse themselves from making the decision. And that's where the corruption is, because these attorneys then turn around and make big donations, not just to the politician, but the PACs that support the politicians, or other political endeavors that they're behind. The phone call gets made, hey, we're gonna go after Alex Villanueva with the reform thing. We need you to fund that. Hey, I got a PAC that I need you to fund. All of that happens, and we don't know anything about that. This is why that politician Holly Mitchell should have recused herself on this case. This is why it's soft corruption that's really hard to chase, but also this is the kind of stuff that the LA Times is not printing. Both the Shangri-La money that went back to
they will never expose the political powers that be in LA County. It won't happen.
I don't get it. That's what their job is.
No, they are bought and paid for. There are backdoor deals. I mean, telling you, they are bought and paid for. Same thing with any one of those mainstream medias. Nothing.
Did you ever go to the Hearst Castle? The Hearst Castle, he got built. That thing got built reporting this nonsense, and that guy won't report any. And now the LA Times won't report any of this stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy, because that's their job. That's why they were given the incredible power of freedom of the press to report this corruption in government, and it's not being reported. And the thing about what you're reporting here isn't new.
No,
this has been going on for a long time. And when you get a blue state, a dominant blue state like Los Angeles and California, it becomes it's out in the open.
Yeah.
Because look how this was relatively easy for you to track. I mean, you got a few sources, and then you can see where the donations are made. You can see
I don't even have to look myself. I get it. Bing, bing, bing. My phone. Ding, 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 ding. I mean, everything gets listed. So it's like, I just have to write. I just have to write the story.
So you got anything else in the hopper? Any new stories coming up you want to tease a little bit?
Cool thing coming out. That'll be out probably tomorrow. And also, I've been reporting on the Rebecca Grossman case, and that case, I'm telling you right now, she got railroaded, and railroaded hard. And I have uncovered so much about that case, and it's very tragic because two children were killed in Westlake. And when you see how badly this investigation was conducted, the missing evidence of the vehicle that was in front of her by 3 seconds, and the missing evidence belonged to the car that is consistent. I mean, it belonged to a car consistent with the one that was in front of her. Like, I mean, it's just when you read this series, it blows your mind, but it shows you how corrupt the judicial system is, where all these things start going wrong. And you know what? It could be you. You could be stuck in an accident like that and end up behind bars. She's been behind bars for 2 years, and it's likely the car that was in front of her that did it. So
well,
anyway,
this is one where Cece and I disagree on, but I want to encourage you to go to the current report.
Gotta
and
read it.
It's
There's missing evidence. Jeez.
I don't know. I read a whole bunch on that case, your stuff and other reporting, and
reading anybody other than mine, because I'm the only one telling the truth, and I'm the one with documents and video.
Well, yeah, there's a whole bunch of people that go into those cases that I just they're going to want to get the right person, not the wrong person. So
oh no, Chief, that's because you're a good cop. Okay, these guys are idiots that were, and I even have confirmation from one of the cops that said, was this person in charge? And I said, yes. He said, then you can absolutely guarantee that that case was messed up. I have the screenshots.
But okay, so you're suggesting that she didn't. All right, for the audience, Rebecca Grossman is
in front of her by 3 seconds.
I know the story. I know the Rebecca Grossman
made the initial impact.
Cece, I got to tell the national audience who Rebecca Grossman is, because this is a big case in LA. But Rebecca, she's a socialite, and she was. It appeared she was dating a retired Dodger pitcher, right?
Yes.
And they had been having some drinks, and she was connected to the.
Been drinking all day long. She had one. He was drinking all day long.
Got it. And she's connected to the Grossman Burn Foundation, Burn Center, right? So a very prominent name in LA and in California. And they were either going back to her house, and sounds like they were kind of going fast and chasing each other. And somewhere along the way, somebody hit 2 kids. Now, I think it was Rebecca.
And she was following too closely. Yeah. But when you look at the witness statements, when you look at the missing evidence, when you look at a lot of things, you'll be able to see there's no way that his car was not the car that made impact with those kids.
I don't know, but so you're saying he actually did it. You're not even saying this is a bad investigation. So reasonable doubt should be there. Okay, we're at the end of the show. Cece, we got to figure your audio out, because your audio was kind of hit and miss next time.
Yeah, you know what? It's because I'm on this computer, and normally I'm on the other computer with my microphone. So yeah, unfortunately, that's what happened today.
Well, we'll have you back, but we got to figure the audio out, because
I will have it all dialed in by the time I talk to you again. Don't worry.
All right. Well, I'll take care. I'll keep an eye out on the current report and see what other reporting you got coming up. I really am enjoying what's coming up, or what you've published so far. So keep up the good work. And guys, you can find Cece at the current report, and you can see her on YouTube at Newsbeat LA. I think we're at the end of our show. Amanda, I think you can take it away. Stick around for a quick debrief, Cece. And you guys, hey, make sure you check me out on YouTube. This is week 4. There was no swearing. I think we can keep the show up.
Yeah, that was good.
Bye-bye.